with a number my whole life since I was 4 years old. It's a number I was promised.
Here we have another example of NIL damaging college football. They are literally holding a press conference at LSU where star cornerback DJ Pickett has to explain to the media why he is wearing number 5. Excuse me, young man, who in the hell do you think you are? Have you no respect? Do you realize that number 5 is sacred down here in the bayou? Number 5 was worn by Jayden Daniels. What? Jayden Daniels? Am I supposed to be impressed? Are we supposed to bow down and worship? Did I miss the memo? Is there a shrine in Baton Rouge where current players are supposed to acknowledge the greatness of Jayden Daniels? Headline at CBS Sports: Jayden Daniels picking a fight with LSU over a doofus jersey number. Yesterday morning, ESPN reported that Jayden Daniels' attorney sent a cease-and-desist letter to LSU. Dear peasants, you are no longer allowed to use my name, image, and likeness. I am deeply offended that you've already forgotten about me. Like most people, I was perplexed when I saw this report yesterday morning. For starters, Jayden Daniels is coming off an injury. He's also coming off an atrocious season where he went 2-5 before getting injured. Now, you would think Jayden Daniels would be focused on training camp. He would be focused on proving that the 2024 season was not a fluke. But for some reason, he is wasting his time worrying about LSU using his damn face in marketing promotions. Now, in fairness to Jayden Daniels, he might not have known the extent of this situation until this cease and desist letter was already sent to LSU. According to CBS, this fight with LSU, it could have been instigated by his mother, who is extremely active in his business. His mother is also his lead agent, which to me sounds like a recipe for a flaming ass fire. I don't know anything about negotiating NFL contracts. What I do know is mixing business with family is the best path to forming a dysfunctional family. Last month, when we were on vacation, my wife came up with this idea that the family should pool our money together and buy a house where we were vacationing at. Me and her sister and her husband, and my mother and father-in-law. Let's buy a house together. That way we can come up here whenever we want. On the surface, it sounds like a great idea. I walked out in the middle of the discussion. My wife looks over and says, "What do you think, honey? Doesn't this sound great?" I said, to be honest, it sounds like a nightmare. It sounds like a situation with too many bosses and not enough employees. Who's decorating the house? Whose name is going on the deed? What happens if, God forbid, one of the men in the family pass away? Who would then be responsible for paying his third of the mortgage? You, your mom, and your sister. All you ladies like to be in control, which is a good thing in separate households, but it's a potential nightmare when you're talking about sharing a house together. There's far too much that can go wrong and not nearly enough that can go right, which is often the case when you mix business with family. Business is allergic to emotion, and there's just no way to remove emotion when you're dealing with family. Whether Jayden Daniels' mother is behind this ridiculous fight with LSU, I don't know. What I do know is The cease and desist, it was sent based on emotion. It was based on the fact that Lane Kiffin and LSU, they're allowing DJ Pickett to wear number 5. Now, according to Jayden Daniels, that's my number. He can't have my number. It's not fair. Last I checked, Jayden Daniels plays for the Washington Redskins. Uncle Casey, don't you mean the Washington Commanders? Either way, Jayden Daniels plays for the Guardians. He hasn't played at LSU in 3 years. I guess Jayden Daniels was under the impression that LSU should retire his number, which is something that I have never understood. The vast majority of people, we don't remember your jersey number. We remember your name. Sure, we remember the numbers of iconic players, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, down here on the coast, Drew Brees. But I couldn't tell you Peyton Manning's jersey number or John Elway. These dudes are icons. Jayden Daniels is not an icon. Hell, he is nowhere close to iconic status. But he won a Heisman at LSU. Who gives a damn? I had forgotten that Jayden Daniels won the Heisman. Who cares? You know what he didn't win? A national championship. Hell, he didn't even win the SEC championship. His one appearance in the SEC championship game, LSU got their ass kicked by Georgia. His final season at LSU, Jayden Daniels refused to play in the Reliable Bowl. I'm not playing in this meaningless bowl game. I am preparing for my future in the NFL. Fair enough. Obviously, I don't blame him for refusing to play in the Turd Bowl, but don't come back 2-3 years later pretending like you're a legend, acting like no one else can wear your jersey number because it's supposed to be sacred. It's not. You know who is a legend at LSU? Joe Burrow. Speaking of Joe Burrow, Jayden Daniels is supposedly upset because he feels like LSU is treating him differently than they treat Joey B. Well, yeah, I'm sure LSU is treating Joe Burrow differently. For starters, Joe Burrow never sent LSU a cease and desist letter. Also, he actually won. Outside of the Heisman, Jayden Daniels didn't win shit. Hell, his teams never finished the season ranked in the top 10. I am no historian with college football, but this to me is another example of NIL ruining college sports. Before players were being paid, before players were being paid legally, college athletes had a sense of pride with their school. It was mutually beneficial to both the program and the player. The program was associated with a legendary player, and for the rest of his life, the player always had a place that he could call home. If he ever needed a job, he could go home. But now, there is no loyalty left in college sports. Why in the hell would LSU be loyal to Jayden Daniels? He's from the People's Republic of California. He played 3 years at Arizona State, which is another place where Mama Daniels caused problems. Arizona State cut ties with Mama Daniels because during the COVID, Mama Daniels was allegedly paying for flights and hotels for recruits during a dead period in recruiting. LSU paid Jayden Daniels to finish his collegiate career in Baton Rouge. And that's all this was for Jayden Daniels, a job. It was never home. Clearly, LSU was never home. I'm pretty sure you don't send cease and desist letters to family. You know, you can name a player in the 90s, 2000s, and most of the time, I remember where they played in college. Emmitt Smith, Florida, the hometown kid from Pensacola. Troy Aikman, UCLA. Tom Brady, Michigan. Drew Brees, Purdue. Peyton Manning, Tennessee. Eli Manning, Ole Miss. Brett Favre, Southern Miss. If Brett Favre goes back to Hattiesburg tomorrow, he will be treated like a hero. And Brett Favre hadn't played at Southern Miss in what, 40 years? Some of the parents of the students on campus, they weren't even born when Brett Favre was playing football at Southern Miss. Today, college players, they just go to the highest bidder. There is no loyalty. There's no pride in their program. If a 5-star recruit goes to LSU and Lane Kiffin wants him to sit for 2 years, he immediately requests a transfer. In the short term, it hurts the program, but long term, it's damaging to the player. 99% of these kids playing on Saturday afternoons, they're not going to the NFL. Most of them aren't good enough to play in the CFL. Diego Pavia, for example. If I remember correctly, he was making a couple of $1 million to be the starting quarterback at Vanderbilt, a school that focuses on academics, not sports. If it was up to Diego Pavia, he would still be playing at Vanderbilt. Why? Because he knows he can't make that kind of money anywhere else. This kid went from making millions of dollars to being undrafted in the NFL. He gets picked up by the Baltimore Ravens as an undrafted free agent, and his ass gets cut before training camp even begins. That is the postgraduate career for most college athletes. They get pampered in college, which is supposed to be a time of struggle. College kids are supposed to be broke. They're not supposed to be rich. But because of NIL, these kids are being pampered while they're in college. Once they get into the real world, they're stuck. They're going from making $2 million a year to some doofus company paying them $4,000 a month. But Uncle KC, some of these players are making life-changing money. How many 19-year-old kids are fiscally responsible? How many 21-year-old kids are investing their money? 5 to 10 years from now, we're going to be hearing about former millionaire college athletes who are now sharing a living space with homeless Harry under the bridge. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.